If you're thinking more long term, I want to fund a policy for an extremely long period of time, and I'm going to maintain that discipline, you may not want to go with such a low base premium policy. We might need to increase that a little more, which gives you the ability to fund the policy for a much longer period of time. That's what that's referring to, design. And then system, right? The system over here, right? Because we have the strategies over here. That's once the policy is in place. The system, this word that I'm referring to here, is involving the maintenance and upkeep of your whole life insurance policy. And this is very, very important because this goes back to my story that I shared earlier about the client. I'm talking to the husband for 5 years, never spoke to the wife, right? Our system of communication was between Denzel and husband only. That system ultimately failed 5 years later. Would you agree? The person now wants to do a reduced paid up. They never want to pay into their policy again because wife didn't know all the 5 years of work that we put in together is now being essentially destroyed, right? Not even to sugarcoat it. Like, that's what's happening. We're destroying the strategy and settling for something very, very less, being a reduced paid up so early into the policy's funding period, right? Terrible. Unfortunate, right? But again, this is me being transparent and vulnerable. This kind of stuff happens. So now, as I learn and improve in my career, I could say, okay, I'm going to spend a little more time on the system, right? So the system is referring to really your insurance agent and yourself. How are you and your insurance agent communicating before we put the policy in place and after the policy is in place? How are we ensuring the success of the strategy? We need to have a system that complements the strategy. Does that make sense? Comment below, right? So in this case, I think a very good solid system to have with your agent, whether you choose me to be your direct agent or any one of my partners that I work with, Steve Parisi, Caleb with Better Wealth, Daniel Romberg, right? Chris Kirkpatrick, Life 180, right? Sebastian Boyer, the approved guy. I collaborate and partner with a lot of people in the space that I know, like, and trust, okay? So what's important is to really develop a system with you and the agent where you can say, look, Denzel, this is my wife. I want you to meet my wife. This is the type of people we are. This is what we want to do. These are our goals. Denzel is taking notes. I'm keeping record, right? We put the policy in place and we form an agreement and we say, look, we're going to talk at least 1 to 2 times per year. I want to talk 6 months in to the policy, and I want to talk 30 days before the anniversary date of your life insurance policy. I want to talk at least 30 days before the anniversary date and 6 months into any given year into the policy. What does that do? That allows us to really project how each year is going. So in the first year, we fund the policy, right? In this case, let's say we dump 15 grand in. Wonderful. 6 months in, we're having a conversation. We're saying, okay, is there anything coming up? Any unexpected life circumstances we need to be aware of? Yes, Denzel, I need to do a roof repair. It's going to cost 10 grand. Okay, so now we get to strategize. We have a $10,000 unexpected expense, right? That's come up. Where are we going to pull from that 10 grand? Well, we can borrow from the policy, $10,000. We could borrow from your line of credit, your home equity line of credit, 10 grand. Or we can pull from your savings account, $10,000. What should we do? So if Denzel and the client don't have a conversation in month 6 and the client takes it upon themselves to make their own decision, right? And it ends up not being the most efficient one, and then it ultimately leads to year 2, Denzel, I only have $6,000 now because I spent 10 grand on this roof repair. And I'm like, well, I didn't know you had a roof repair. You didn't tell me you had a roof repair. There was no communication, right? So immediately within 1 year, the system breaks, right? If there's no consistent communication and we're in synchronization. Now, what works great is in that same example, month 6, Denzel, I got a $10,000 roof repair. I got $10,000 in savings. I have space in my HELOC to finance it through there, or I can borrow from my policy and pay the $10,000 expense. And I'll say, well, interesting you say that, husband. We have an opportunity. You just got done saying that you have 10 grand in your savings account, right? We've got this expense coming up. What if we dump the 10 grand in your policy? Max fund it for the year. Get it up to the $23,000 number. Let's say we did that. And then we borrow 10 grand from the policy, right? Pays for the roof repair. You max funded your policy for that year. You now have that money growing tax-free, and you finance that expense. The roof repair is taken care of, and then we keep saving money. And then 30 days before the anniversary date, we have a conversation, and he's like, Denzel, I have $10,000 to put into the policy on the anniversary date. Okay, great. We dump 10 grand in, and then we set up a plan to continue to fund it $500 a month, right? Of that 6 grand a year. This example, right? So having a very good, effective communication system, right? So system is really referring to communication, right? Agent and client. And if I'm dealing with a spouse, I believe spouse needs to be a part of those calls, especially the initial ones, and maybe 1 or 2 from time to time. Not to be on every single call, but at least they're on the same page, right? I can't have spouse destroying our financial strategies that we're putting together. I can't have it. It's not going to work. And I am not going to try and compete with the husbands that are listening. I have never had this issue with women. Never had this issue. It usually only happens with the men because, again, I'm 28 years old. If I'm talking to a man that's 55, 60, 65, you're a tough guy, right? You're the macho, you know everything. And then I take that as face value. I take your word for it. And then, years go by and all of a sudden you're a softie, right? Because wife is making the financial decisions, yet you're the breadwinner. You're the head of household, you're the man of the house, you're the provider and the caregiver and the protector, yet we've got these occurrences that happen, which again, I'm not against it. I myself, I break a couple times when it comes to my household. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm the head of the household. That's what God told me I am. And yet there'll be times where I compromise. Does it make you as the man any weaker, right? Doesn't make you weak. Doesn't make you incompetent in any given way, right? I don't know the dynamics of your household. I don't know, who makes more money, who makes less money, who makes equal money, how decisions are made. Your wife might have a good point, right? And it would be great to have that dialogue, right? Bring her into the conversation, right? So that we're all on the same page. So I'm not against her. I'm not against you. I'm for the team of your household succeeding, building your kingdom to last multiple generations. That's what I'm for. I'm your greatest cheerleader. I'm your quarterback coach that's supporting you from a distance as an asset, as a resource, as a teacher, as a counselor, all of those things. Consultant, I'm for you. But if I don't know what's happening behind closed doors, right, as it relates to finances, right, if I don't know what kind of conversations you're having when you get off the phone call, right, you guys come up a certain way with a different, we put on our mask, we jump on a call, but if we don't reveal what's actually going on, that can ultimately lead to failure, right? So an important system of communication between the agent and the client is extremely important.